Joining me now from Baltimore, Maryland is Kaye Wise Whitehead, Executive Director of the Karson Institute for Race, Peace and Social Justice, and a Professor of Communication and African American Studies at Loyola University, Maryland. Professor, welcome to our program. Let me begin by getting your reaction to these monuments and statues of Confederate leaders making a comeback.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. My concern is that we're moving in the wrong direction. America is a more diverse nation. We are concerned about equity. We are concerned about inclusion. We took the statues down, not so they can be destroyed, so that you can put them in museums out of public spaces. Because the idea is that when somebody loses the war, you don't put up a statue in their honor. You definitely don't do it 20 to 30 years after the event happened. We were not calling for the destructions of any monuments. Just remove them, put them in a museum, and then have people make a decision about who should be honored with a statue. I think Americans right now, those who are aware of what is happening in this country, are willing to dig their heels in and stop this country from going back. We are not going back to the divisive country we used to be. It is about inclusion. It is about diversity. It is about equity, no matter what people think.
There are no federal mandates that universally require private sector, Professor, or private sector companies to scrap DEI programs, and yet one after another has done it, from the corporate world, universities, retail, Target, Walmart, McDonald's, Amazon. I mean, the list goes on and on. What is driving it, Professor, and what does that tell us, the fact that they're going ahead with scrapping it or scaling it down?
Well, I know something that Jason Stanley, who wrote the book How Fascism Works, he talks about this idea of anticipatory obedience. Before there's a mandate, you start being obedient. You start assuming that this is what you have to do, rather than standing tall and actually working alongside your consumer, thinking about who is supporting your base, thinking about who is putting in the time at your company. By bowing down to a rule that's not even in place, you are sending a message to the consumer. You're sending a message to us saying, you don't respect our business. You don't want our business. You don't want us to come into your store. What else are we supposed to think? Because erasing DEI is not just about erasing a policy. It's about trying to erase people, and it's about trying to erase history. You cannot erase a portion of American history. Black history is American history. Hispanic history is American history. You can't just erase a portion. It's not just about a DEI policy. It's about telling us very clearly that you have a problem with us, with our history, and in my words, with our money.
Professor, are you surprised there's not more of a pushback from the Democrats?
I am surprised that the organizing that we are doing is taking place from a grassroots perspective. I think that any change in this country, as a historian, we can look at what has happened in the past to understand what we're doing at this moment, and then to make predictions for the future. We know that any movements that have happened in this country have come from the ground up, and then we've moved the people on top. That's what we are dealing with right now. Calling for these economic blackouts, calling for these boycotts, calling for the we ain't having it anymore movements. We're not going to spend our dollars where we're not wanted, where we're not appreciated. It's starting from the people, and it's rising up. Sometimes you have to lead the leaders. Sometimes you set the agenda and you give them the agenda so they can catch up with the work you're doing. It's the people power. We are the fourth branch of government. It is coming from us, which is where it should come.
While the boycott may make economic impact, Professor, will it change anything politically?
Well, I look at the Montgomery bus boycott, right? So when you started thinking about how long that took, over a year and some change to actually make that type of impact, it wasn't just about changing the narrative around where Black people can sit on transportation. It was about changing policy. We understand you cannot mandate, you cannot march, you cannot put policies in place to change people's hearts and minds. What we're talking about is the ways in which companies are standing with these policies and deciding that they're going to make a very public showing against the things that we believe in. This is not just something happening within the Black community. It's not just happening in the brown community. This is about Americans taking back control of our democracy. It starts with having a financial hit, and then it then leads to policy. It has to be a long-term financial boycott. It's what we've been doing in the Black community with Target all year round. It didn't just take place over one weekend. It wasn't just 1 month. It started started and it has continued, and we're now seeing the fruits of our labor as they're now saying that they are having a huge dent in sales. Policies come from the practices that people do.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Professor Kaye Wise Whitehead, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.